Instagram teen accounts have automatic protections for what teens see and who can contact them, plus time management tools. And Instagram will continue adding built-in safety features to help create age-appropriate experiences. Learn more about teen accounts and Instagram's ongoing work to protect teens online at instagram.com/teen accounts.
Welcome to part 2, besties, of the Family Murders in South Australia. We are at episode 85 now, so, looking down the barrel of that gun still to episode 100, which we're very, very excited about. As always, keep your case suggestions coming.
Yeah, we've had a few lately. We need to submit a few more, but we keep adding them to the list.
But I want to know, I'm still waiting for that one where we're like, yes, that will be our 100th episode.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
don't know what it is yet.
I've got a couple of ideas, but then I'm like, there's things that I'd like to know more about, and I feel like maybe there's more coming.
Yeah. There's definitely a few of those at the moment that I've got in my head that I'm like, actually, I saw there's that new documentary out about Lucy Letby that I'm like, do we need to redo that? And I'm like, I just
we
can't.
Need to redo it.
I'm not ready. I'm not ready.
No, we're not ready. We can't do it yet, but we will need to redo that.
Yeah.
So I've actually listened to 2 different podcasts about her recently.
Right.
So one of them is actually by Amanda Knox.
Yeah.
Which I feel like she's got a very unique perspective in some ways, but then I'm like, is that a skewed? That
brings a bias.
I was going to say, is that a skewed perspective?
Yeah.
Look, some of the things that she talks about, I'm like, I can totally see that. I get where you're coming from.
Yeah.
And then other things, I'm like, my skeptic hat is still on. So watch this space. I think we are going to have to re-record something though, because there is definitely a lot of things that you and I in our episode, we were like, oh yeah, this is the way it is, because that's what everyone thought.
Well, it's the way it was being presented at trial.
Absolutely. It was the way it was being presented. We didn't do anything wrong.
No, at the time.
We thought these things were fact because they were presented at trial like fact, and we now know that's not true.
But still, even on that, I'm still, to me, it's still different perspectives, and that doesn't make it fact.
I do agree with you.
Yeah.
But we didn't have anything contradicting what was said before, and I think it brings an element of doubt.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I do think we're going to have to redo it at some point. I reckon it's years away.
Same.
Honestly.
I don't know that there's going to be a retrial. I don't know.
I think there will be a retrial.
Well, they'd have to get around some pretty, UK, the law there in this is really strict and stuff.
They're actually trying
I know
now
they're
to
trying
change
to change the law. I get that, but how long is that going to take?
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's going to be years.
Yeah, that's why I just, I don't know.
Yeah.
Just don't know.
Anyway. If you do go back and listen to our Lucy Letby episode, just know that we don't know it all. It's like that episode of Friends where it's like, you know that I know, but you don't know that I know that you know.
I know exactly what you're just saying. I did also watch this week, though. There's a new doco out at the moment about Lamar Odom.
Oh my God. I'm desperate to watch this because in the short of it, Kris Jenner's in it.
Oh, Chloe's in it. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Well, you need to watch it because I have so much to talk about. Just the name in itself, I literally had to then Google because I'm like, it's called The Death and Lives of Lamar Odom. And I'm like, something happened that I wasn't aware of. He's alive. What the hell? And I'm like Googling, going, Lamar Odom.
I'm like, he is alive, isn't he?
I'm right. He's still alive. Like, he never died. But to me, I don't agree with the name. I understand he had a near-death experience. I completely get that, and he probably should have died from what he experienced. But that title is very misleading.
It gets attention.
It got me in. Yeah. Oh, wow.
Okay.
I have some opinions, and Chloe's my favourite Kardashian.
Yes, same.
And there's some things in that I kind of go, fuck me, they're fucked.
Yeah, they're fucked. Have you seen all of these things lately where people are like changing their profile picture to Kris Jenner and they're getting like job interviews, they're getting like people, a lot of followers.
How is that like, what? Who's believing this shit?
Well, no, I don't know the people. I don't know. Look into it. Just some real Kris Jenner energy, some real momager energy.
Yeah. I have to say, I love her facelift that she got recently.
It's flawless.
It is.
I look at her and I'm like, you're pretty much the same age as my mum.
And she looks like Kim now.
She looks like Kim. She looks exactly the same.
Yeah.
I mean, they've done an amazing job.
I think Kim's pierced.
Oh, wouldn't you be? Oh, no, you'd be like, give me the name. Oh, I need to know who you've been to.
Name. Name it.
Name it. Just a crossover of our two faves.
Oh, God, sorry.
But yeah, seriously.
It's the brain.
What the fuck? I mean, it is amazing, but then do you want to look like you're in your 30s when you're 70-something?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think, aging gracefully is one thing, but then there's like, but if you can look like that, why not?
Well, that's true too.
I guess her partner is considerably younger than her as well. She's got to keep up with him.
That's true.
I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, you know what? All power to anyone who wants to do that.
She's got the money.
Honestly.
She's got the, hey, whoever that doctor is, though, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I bet he charges a fortune, or she, and well worth it.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. I'd like to see it up close.
Yeah. No, I have to say, that was something I did think. I think it's probably a combination of good, very, very talented surgeon, but very talented, makeup artist
And lighting.
too. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's all about the lighting.
Yeah.
Have you seen these like YouTubers who do vlogs? Did we talk? I can't remember who talked about this in the what's Ruby Frankie case or not, but they change the light bulbs in their homes so that when they're vlogging at home,
so it's all warm
they've got
lighting?
I don't know if it's warm or cool. What is it? I don't know. Whatever. But they change to LED lights. Maybe I don't even know. But just so that the lights
is LED.
I don't know, man. They change it to something so it looks better when they're vlogging.
Bathroom lighting.
So I don't. Can you imagine the lighting in the Kardashians' homes? That'd be.
It's why.
top
It's why
notch.
Kim's house is white.
Yeah.
It's because
reflection.
Good reflections.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, funny as. Now, we had a family lunch the other day and we were talking about what is your desert island food?
Oh.
And I'm really interested to know what yours is.
Do I have to get it from the desert island, or am I like bringing it with me?
You can bring it with you. Because someone said a cow.
See, I can't do this.
Oh, why?
Because I can't do the same food.
You look physically really uncomfortable right now.
I am, because I can't. It's one of my things. I will be obsessed with a particular food, but for a short period of time. And then I can't anymore.
Yeah,
I just can't.
I actually totally get that. I'm like that with a lot of things. Like I'll go through a phase where every time I walk past a sushi shop, I'll buy sushi.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh my God, the thought of putting sushi in my mouth makes me want to gag.
Yes.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah. Because I've got, you know how people say like your taste buds only live a certain amount of time, and once,
yeah,
I think that's bullshit, because every now and then I'll get like a flavor that I'll like imagine in my brain and in my mouth, and I'll be like, what is that? It's something I've eaten before, and I'm like, now I want it. And I can't even remember what it was. Like it'll be like even a combination of foods, or I don't know. It's something that I've eaten once upon a time, and I'll be like,
need it.
I need it, but I can't even work out what it is.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
That absolutely sucks.
I've got a couple from childhood still that I'm like, I don't even think you can buy it anymore, and I want it.
Do you know what it is?
No. Oh, one of them's like a God, it was something I used to get from the deli, a bit of meat. It was like a cold meat.
Not Devon, please.
No, it was
not
Devon.
smiley face.
No. It had like
Loaf.
it was like a salami-ish kind of thing, but it had like big chunks of like peppercorns like in it. So when it was sliced, it had like these big peppercorns in it. Yum.
Okay.
I would love that at the moment, but you can't buy it.
Right.
I don't even know where. I don't know.
Where would you even go? I don't
Franklin's.
Ain't no frills left.
No frills left. Yeah. No. So, there's like, so I don't know if I could have like one food that I then live on in an island, because I know I'm going to get over it real quick.
But there's not something where you'd be like, I would have to come. No, I'm going to hold you to this. You've got to choose something.
Water.
Oh, make that so fucking boring.
No, I don't know.
Let's say water's a given.
Really hard.
Water's a given.
Okay, honey soy chips.
You
Red
do
Rock
love the Red
Delis.
Rock Deli and honey soy chicken chips.
I do return it, but again, I have to have breaks from them too. If they go on sale and I get 2 bags or something, say, and I've had them in the cupboard, I don't want them again until they're on sale again, like kind of thing. Like,
that works well.
Yeah, no, it works because it's like, No, I'm like, oh God, I'm over them. Like I can't. Even if I see them on sale early between, kind of thing, I'm like, nah.
Not buying them.
Yeah.
Okay, so Peter's was like schnitzel. He loves a schnitzel.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay.
That's really bland for him though.
It is. Because we also decided that condiments were not allowed.
Oh, I need
but,
a dip.
But then mine, I was like, I need a condiment on mine. So then I revised it and I was like, okay, you can have a condiment.
A sauce, a dip. Yep. It's all about it.
Someone else said a cow because then they can have
however they want it.
Steak. They can make.
Yeah, but I'm not cutting that thing up. I'm going to become best friends with it.
Yeah, nah.
Yeah.
And then what else did we have? I can't even remember what else we had. But my thing, now I think I was actually really clever because I said like a chicken salad. Because then you're getting all your food groups, right?
Yeah.
I would have you'd have all your salad veggies.
Yeah.
Cheese, obviously, because you're not, an idiot.
We're not idiots.
You'd have your protein from your chicken.
Yeah. It's going to need
dressing. And then you could have like an olive oil kind of dressing for some good fats.
Yeah.
So I feel like nutritionally.
Yeah.
And maybe you could have like a few pepitas or some crunch on there, but in nutritional yeast or something. to really, because you'd need your B vitamins. Yeah, bit of nutritional yeast, maybe a few chickpeas in there.
Yeah, you can fuck your chickpeas right off.
Oh, I fucking love a chickpea in a salad. Oh, I love a chickpea at any time. Although the other day, Mum was like, "Oh, I made your dad a nice high protein. Was it a cake or a cookie?" God, now I can't remember what it was.
Your mum making cookies means I'm sorry. What else did she put in those fucking cookies?
We all know what Lynn wants to put in a cookie. But then she showed it to me. We were on a video call. She showed it to me. I'm like, it looks so fucking dry. What have you done with that thing? And she's like, oh, I used chickpea flour. I'm like, I love chickpeas, but nah.
Nah.
And Dad goes, oh, no, it looks really nice. I'm like, well, good luck eating that.
Geez, your dad's nice.
Yeah, he's so, he's so nice. Oh, anyway, Dad let us know how it was because I haven't actually followed up and asked you. He's probably still gagging it down with a giant glass of water.
Oh, God.
Oh, fun.
That's a good choice. I can understand your thinking. Yeah.
I was trying to be strategic. It's not necessarily the thing that I would want to eat forever.
No, but a good choice. I guess because you could then from that array of foods that have arrived, you could separate them
and
too.
make other things. Yeah. That's right. Like you could have a bit of cheese and tomato.
That's cheeky of you to do
what
that.
Else? I could have croutons.
Yeah, so you do almost like a Caesar-y salad kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, I'd come to your desert island.
Olives. Oh, yeah. Oh, yum.
I love olives.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Then I want to do like some stuffed olives or no.
No. Kalamata. In a salad, I like a Kalamata. Or one of those. Oh, you know what? I love those marinated split green olives from Woolies, from the deli section at Woolies.
They are so
good.
damn good. Yes.
Guys, let us know what your desert island food is.
We do it because that's like one of my favourites is I do my Platter Day Saturday.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks, Fadan.
Yeah.
Get onto Fadan talk if you're not. Yeah, and just to have I needed a variety. I need variety. So to have I always have my olives and that on that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I love a pickled anything.
Good cheddar cheese or sharp cheddar.
Do you like the Mercy Valley?
I love a Mercy Valley.
Me too.
Yeah.
Which one do you like?
Oh, do you know, I'd have to go a classic.
Yeah.
It's just a given.
Yeah.
But I quite like many of the others actually.
The vintage one or the pickled onion one?
The pickled onion one I actually quite like.
Yeah.
I'm quite good for that one.
Me too.
Yeah. But if I've got to just go a classic, I'll go.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yum. Yum. I bloody want cheese now.
I know. And I've actually followed this chick on TikTok. Oh, no, Instagram, sorry. And she makes her own dips. So dip and chip and wine. And she basically matches her dips to her wine.
Oh, my God, I love this.
Oh, I'll get you on it. It's so good that I'm like, oh, God, I need to start making my own dips. Holy crap.
What kind of dips does she make?
Everything. Oh, and they're so good.
Oh,
so
that sounds amazing.
The last one she did the other night was it was quite basic in a lot of ways, but with hot honey on it and stuff.
Oh, I love hot honey. So
I was just like, oh, and she matches all of her different chip with her dip and then her wine and so.
We went to our local ice cream shop last week, and they had a hot honey flavoured ice cream and it was so good. Oh, my God, it was good.
My brain's just exploded.
Oh, it was actually amazing.
Wow.
Because you can have, like, chocolate chili ice cream. So this is just like a honey chili ice cream.
But chocolate and ice cream, whereas honey and ice cream are...
Oh, no, it was really good.
Yeah.
It was yum.
Yeah.
Totally up my alley. Loved it.
Well, I think I might have to try it.
Yep.
I do love a bit of hot honey.
Me too.
And I just don't use it enough. Like, I want to use it on more things.
I very often eat cottage cheese on toast for breakfast and I put hot honey on that because it just makes it palatable.
Actually, yeah, I get that.
I mean, you know, we're women in our 40s. We need our protein, but we need our protein to taste delicious.
To taste good, yeah.
I need to want to eat the protein.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I need some spice in my life.
Yeah, you do. Speaking of spice in our life,
where are you going?
I've actually, so, you know, we've got Piper, our little Groodle. She's not that little anymore. She's definitely growing. And I've been, you know, your feed, obviously, your algorithms work and do what they need to do.
Listening to you all the time.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So part of what's been coming up in my feed lately is all this stuff about like how to train a Groodle, how to, you know, tell, you know, all these videos about Groodles. And I'm like, oh my God, she is the quintessential Groodle, because one of the memes is like how to train your Groodle, and then it's just a photo of your Groodle in bed with its head on your pillow or under the covers, all tucked in with its little paws up. I'm like, that is 100% Piper.
It's not happening.
This morning, Peter decided he'd have a little sleep in, and so I got up and I was doing a few things. Then, you know, decided it was time to wake up, so I like aggressively opened the bedroom door just to like make sure he, you know, knew it was time for him to get up. And as I open the door, I look over onto the bed and they're just like both tucked up on the same pillow, just like having a nice little snuggle.
Yes.
I'm like, oh my God.
So cute.
Oh my God.
She's not getting off that bed for no one.
Nah, there's no chance. I think she sounds like she might have gone to bed with Ollie tonight. So,
oh, I love that.
yeah, she's a little cutie.
I was saying to you how my rather large dog, he doesn't go upstairs at my place, but has recently started going up and waking up Mason upstairs.
What time does he go up?
Mason reckons it was sort of about 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. He's been doing it.
Yuck.
Yeah. So then Mason's been bringing him back down. But I'm like, you can just keep him up there. He's like looking for you if he wants to stay. And he's like, can he get on my bed? And I'm like, well, probably.
Will he fit?
Probably not, because Mason uses the entire bed. He does, you know, he's got a double bed though, so he should have room.
Oh,
but
yeah.
So I said, yeah, if you want, that's totally fine. It doesn't bother me, but I just don't know that he'll stay. But yeah, it's nothing better than a kid having their dog in their bed.
I
love it.
Best. It's so cute.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, if Grizz will do it, then go for it. But I mean, have fun. You don't get much bed left.
They'll have to fight each other for the real estate, the bed real estate.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, God, on the king bed and myself with Grizz, it's like, no, you're off.
Yeah, bugger off, mate.
Because he has to touch you too. Like he's got to have his leg on you or head on you. So no thanks.
And that's a heavy leg and a heavy head.
It's rather large. Yeah.
Oh, Grizz, bless.
Oh, he's beautiful.
Yep. We've been doing a bit of home improvement and home renovations. We are, you know, as time goes on, your needs change with kids and stuff.
Oh,
and so we've decided we've got like a little al fresco area outside, and we've decided we're going to enclose it. Instead, like put some cafe blinds or whatever, because I'm like, as the kids get older and their friends come over, am I actually going to want stinky boys in my house?
No. You want them outside.
When I can shove them outside.
Yeah.
Yes.
And watch the footy out there.
Yeah. So step one of that today was getting a TV for outside and installing that well. I think, thank God, there were no video cameras watching Peter and I installing this TV, because we were just screaming at each other.
No, you never do that.
And then at the end of it, I said to him, I'm like, is this TV going to stay on the wall? And he's like,
It's really, really confident.
Very, very assuring. He's like, I'm sure it's fine. I mean, I think it is fine. We've given it a big old...
bit of a pull and a push, I know.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just... It really made me stop though and think about, oh my God, like, yeah, our house is changing. Our needs are changing.
Yeah.
what was fit for purpose once is no longer, and it's all getting a bit much.
I know, they're growing up.
Yes,
I hate it. I hate it.
It's just awful. And then we were talking before about when they're going to start driving and all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, it's too soon.
It's way too soon. I feel like my niece recently turned 14 and I was like, no. She's 3, right? Like, that's where I'm at still.
Yeah.
They're little. Not okay with this teenage stuff like looming on us. No. And high school and all that.
I know.
Yeah.
It's just terrifying.
Yeah. It's a whole new world.
It really is.
So someone wrote to us a message recently saying how she's got really young 2 boys, the same as us, but young like kids now, 3-year-old kind of stuff. And I said to her that it's we can just absolutely attest to the fact that it will absolutely get different. It's not going to get any better. Like, it just changes all the time.
Yeah.
But I look back and kind of go, I have moments where I go, oh, I wish it was back when they were that little. But I think about it then more so and then go, actually, no.
I'm glad we've moved past that.
Yeah.
I think about the physicality of what life was like when the kids were that age. And I'm like, that was really physically so exhausting. But then it just gets mentally exhausting.
Now it's like you're just a taxi driver. It's permanent sports and going from one place to another. And how are we going to logistically manage all of this? Yes. And then schoolwork and everything else that comes with it.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's just, it never ends.
And people with even older kids than ours say the same thing.
Yeah.
It just gets different. It doesn't get easier.
No.
It just gets
It's
different.
different. Yeah.
Oh, this is what we've got to look forward to. Speaking of people who've been in contact, we've got some shout outs for today. So we've got Tanil Tanky, Meg from WA, and Tara Bethune, who sent us they've all sent us really lovely messages, I think on Instagram. So thank you so much for reaching out. It's very much appreciated. Love
Absolutely
reading all of the
loving
messages and interacting over there. It's awesome.
Yep. Keep it coming and keep telling us what you want.
Yep. More than happy to hear it. Any suggestions you've got, bring them on.
We've got lots of things in the pipe works, but we're, open to suggestions.
Always. Mm-hmm. All right, let's get into it. I feel like we're stalling to get into
I think we might be.
part 2. We're recording this on the same day as we did part 1, so it's been a big night.
It's a long one.
Long one.
Wine's just, petering off. So
yeah.
I'll be ready to drive once.
Yeah. No, it'll be all G. No
good.
worries.
Yeah.
All right.
Where is Daredevil?
I'm right here. Don't miss the return of Marvel Television's Daredevil Born Again.
So what's next?
I feel liberated,
We're going to take this city back.
over medicated.
In an all-new season, now streaming only on Disney+.
They're hunting us. It's time we started hunting them.
I can work with that.
This should be tons of fun.
Marvel Television's Daredevil Born Again, now streaming only on Disney+.
So we are today talking about, we're going into the second part of this 2-parter about the family murders in South Australia, in Adelaide. Now, if you haven't listened to the first episode, you really do need to go back and listen. There's
a lot. And
also, we're not going to really be going over any of that. So you'll need the context in order to understand what's going on in this episode.
For sure.
Okay, so we basically left off last episode. There were multiple men and boys who'd been kidnapped, brutally murdered, their bodies left just to be basically discarded on the side of the road or over a bridge or whatever it was. And at this point, although a lot of information has been given to the police, they're not really putting anything together. And it actually took the death of a fairly high-profile boy in order for this to kind of all come together, which, I mean, it's sad that that was the case, but thank fuck it was, because I can't even imagine where this would have gone had that not actually occurred.
I completely agree. Yeah. It's kind of actually scary where this would have led.
Very much so.
If this wasn't where it kind of, I mean, I think we'd be silly to say that this was over due to this. I think there's definitely victims beyond.
Agreed.
But at least there was someone held accountable after this point, and there's people looking at things.
That's true. That's very, very true.
Yeah.
So we're going to start off today's episode with the murder of Richard Kelvin.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Richard was the son of a very well-known Adelaide news anchor.
Well, at this point in his career, he was only fairly new, Rob Kelvin. He was he'd been doing sort of new sports reports and things like that, but he'd only just started in 1983, which is when we pick up this bit here with his son. That year, he had started reading the news as a permanent position at the desk.
He must have. So, I mean, this happened in the middle of that year. So, obviously, in that first half of the year, he'd garnered quite an amassing of supporters then, because he was quite high profile. Like, as in people, everyone knew who he was.
Yeah, and he'd been on the TV for considerable amount. So, I think he might have started in 78, something like that.
Okay.
Doing like sports reports and things like that and other gigs. But it wasn't until 1983 that he was actually reading the Channel 9 news as a permanent gig.
Anchor, yeah.
He's an anchor. So this was, his first year doing that. He retired in 2010. But this was his first year as that role, in that role. Not to know he wasn't, not to say he wasn't known until this point. Like, they don't obviously come out of nowhere. He's been doing other gigs and then they've gone, hey, it's your turn now.
Yep.
You're up for it. But so he was only fairly new to the role though in that sense. Yeah.
So unfortunately, his 15-year-old son was subjected to the absolute horrific torture that we described in last week's episode. So this was in 1983, around the 5th of June, I think it was, in 1983. Now, when we talk about these kinds of crimes and we talk about the escalations, I definitely think that's where things were going here. And what I mean by that is that we had several of these victims that we spoke about last week. Some of them were kept for days. Some of them were murdered and discarded, on the same day. So where this one differs and is that, unfortunately for Richard's sake, he was kept for 5 weeks before he was murdered.
But I think there is a difference in this one in that, he was kept a hell of a lot longer. But I mean, there was a lot of publicity when he went missing, right? Because of who his dad was. He was immediately all over the news. I find it interesting, and we can get to it when we get to how his body was found, of that some of the things that were done to previous bodies were not done to his. But I dare say he endured a hell of a lot for a longer period of time.
Yeah, I think that kind of came out in his autopsy as well. But I agree. I agree with what you're saying. So the way that this all came about in relation to Kelvin, in relation to Richard's disappearance and subsequent murder. So on this particular day, he was a very sporty young man, loved playing footy, and he had actually had a footy game earlier that day. He'd come home. One of his mates had come over, and they'd actually gone to the local, like it's literally around the corner from their house, a footy oval, and they'd gone there with Rob, so with his dad. His dad had a bit of a kick with them. He'd gone home and they'd sort of finished off what they were doing, and they went back to the Kelvin family home. Now, it came time for his friend to go home, and so Richard decided to walk his mate to the bus stop, and which was like literally 60 metres down the road, something like that. It's really not far.
Really close.
Basically at the end of their street.
Yeah.
And in doing so, his mum was basically said to him, all right, quickly, you can go and drop him off, but then you've got to come straight back home because I've got dinner on the stove and it'll be ready by the time you get back.
You can't, don't be late. Your dinner will be in the bin if you're not back in time.
Yep, fair.
Yeah.
Except in this instance.
Well.
So basically, the next that we know is that a witness who lives in the street heard a cry, a scream out for help. He then heard a car door slam. And this bit kind of got me, and I don't know whether this is true or not, or whether it's an embellishment of the truth, but he hears a really loud exhaust going, and he identifies the car by the sound of the exhaust.
Oh, I didn't know that. I just heard that was really loud exhaust, but okay.
And he's like, oh, that's the exhaust of a HQ Holden Commodore or Holden, whatever.
Okay.
And so I don't know if you can do that because apparently it had quite a distinct sound.
Okay. Some people who are really car orientated, maybe.
I don't know. I actually don't know whether that's even possible. But anyway, that's where the report. I've seen that reported in several places.
Yeah, and there was a female voice kind of identified too that they heard
high pitched,
female-ish voice that was heard. Yeah.
So at the time, Kelvin was wearing a dog collar around his neck. This just kind of, I feel like it kind of gives a sense of his age. Like he's 15 years old, playfulness of it. Kind of a bit of a sign of the times as well. I remember, I've actually got a very funny story about a dog collar. When I was a little girl, we as a family lived in Mexico for a few years, and my brother got really, really, really sick when we got there, like, dealing with all of the sicknesses that come from living in a third world country. And he got, really, really sick. And we got there and we had this... they're very big into their concerts and stuff. And we had a Christmas concert. We had to wear a white outfit and then we got given a colour belt that we had to wear. Mm-hmm. And I think mine was red and Matthew had to have a green one.
Yep.
And Mum was like, I couldn't find a green belt anywhere for Matthew. But because he'd been so sick, he was so sick that Mum was able to find a green dog collar that fit around his waist. I mean, it's funny now, but at the time you look back at the photos and oh, God, you were really sick. You looked really freaking awful. But anyway, that just reminded me of that. But I do remember in certain kind of scenes, like kids did that. It was just kind of an expression of, I don't know.
And this later came out a little bit too, like it was a bit of a joke, like that he was wearing it.
Well, he was a bit of a prankster, right?
Yeah. And it was the family dog's collar.
Yeah.
And it was kind of just a bit of a joke that he was having, that he was wearing it. So
yeah. And I think he'd done it before. It was a funny little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is just horrific. So obviously he doesn't come home.
No.
And again, immediately, I mean, Mum and Dad go out looking for him. Mm-hmm. He's nowhere to be seen. They, again, immediately contact the police.
Yes.
Good on them. They did the right thing. They've reported him as a missing person.
Yeah.
I think, as you said, because of the high-profile nature of Rob and his...
Yeah.
His profile in the...
Right, wrong, whatever. His dad being in the position he was in,
I think
it got
my first
real
thing would
high
be
media.
to contact work and get this out there to anyone who
he
could.
found it easier than anyone else to be able to obviously get this out through the media.
Oh, if
and
your
it was
kid went missing, you'd do whatever you could.
Oh, totally.
So
I feel for the families who couldn't get this kind of level of attention to their child's missing, but this family did, and for whatever, that's as you want to see that, but it happened.
Yeah.
So everyone was aware of him missing. It was highly publicised.
Yeah.
Which I then find that just a bit of an interesting as to, I don't know, I just question whether, I mean, clearly the people who've taken him know he's missing and who he is and pair that up, surely. Would you think?
Yeah.
Yeah. They know who they've got. And I wonder whether
they know who they've got.
Yeah. And I just wonder whether, did they... I mean, you don't know whether he was targeted at any particular reason.
Well, I can't imagine he was targeted. The only reason I say that is how would they have known that in that 60 seconds probably.
This is it. I think it was
random and then they were like, oh, fuck, we fucking kidnapped a high-profile child here.
Yeah.
But then do you think that added to the fact that he was kept alive for so long?
I think it meant he was treated differently. I do. I think and I really honestly think it's why he was kept for so long was because there was things they wanted they wanted to do to him, but they held back.
Yep.
Physically, from those things like the, cutting up the body, etc. So I think things got held off and therefore, unfortunately, I think he would have been abused more heavily sexually and all those sorts of things. I think he would have, the torture in that sense would have been probably potentially worse than the previous victims in that sense.
Yeah.
That's who my feeling is on this one, that they...
I feel the same way. Like, I think that because they held him for so much longer, I feel like the brutality of the rapes that he endured and all of the sexual trauma.
But there was also another significant difference to this one in that, so we'll say his body was found 7 weeks after he went missing. and that it was proven by using maggots, etc., the decomposition when his body was found as to that he'd been probably dumped maybe 2 weeks prior to them finding the body.
Yeah.
But his body had been washed down like the other bodies, but he'd been redressed in the clothes that he was
disappeared in, including the dog collar.
Yeah, all of that put back on him. Whereas, as we said, the previous victims, they had been put in different clothing. Mm-hmm. Now, we'll get to it as to why that's significant, like kind of in terms of how that caught out someone.
Yep.
But I really honestly believe that there were certain people involved in this at that point who went, oh, I'm out. I'm not participating in this. So that...
Yeah, because he was so
high profile. People have backed away from this one.
I agree.
And then the person who's left with dealing with it has then done like putting his clothes back on, being the same clothes he had.
Yeah.
Is linked to that.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep. I think you're right.
Yeah.
I agree with you wholeheartedly.
Mm-hmm.
When the autopsy was done, they found that he died of massive blood loss due to anal injury, so injury to his anal cavity.
Yeah.
They also found that he'd suffered severe blows to his head, none of which were likely to cause his death.
No.
They were inflicted pre-mortem because one of the hemorrhage... So what they think had happened was that he'd actually been tortured for all of the weeks that he was missing prior to his death, because a couple of the brain hemorrhages that were caused by these blunt force traumas to his head had actually started to resolve. So they know they'd probably been inflicted fairly early on after his kidnapping, or maybe that's how they subdued him to get him in the car, or once he'd started screaming, maybe that's how they stopped him from screaming.
He did also have a tooth that had been knocked out. Now, they believe that occurred either very close to before he died or just after he died.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Again, trying to subdue him. That's an interesting one, isn't it? I wonder what happened there.
Yeah.
The autopsy also showed traces of alcohol, Mandrax, Noctec, Amatul, Valium, and Rohypnol in his system.
Yeah. I find that interesting that he was kept for the longest. And obviously they've used varying drugs across the time or whatever that was left in his system.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was other forensics found with him, which is what I was getting at with the clothing. Go. So on him they found hair fibers and some other clothing and material fibers in his clothing that they immediately, went and took to the lab to go and have looked at. Which was significant and come up later, which really is interesting because if the clothing had been switched out, those fibres wouldn't be there, which is really interesting.
In terms of the MO, it really is. And it ended up being a little bit, after the undoing.
Yeah, that's it. So with Richard Kelvin's murder, as we said, it was so high profile and in the news, I think the police finally had to kind of go, we need to do something. And they did sort of kind of get off their asses a bit. And they went and looked at these drugs that were in his system, and they found that with particularly the Mandrax, which was such an unusual drug and it was quite restricted, there was only a certain number of prescriptions that had been written for that drug in the whole of the state. And so they looked at what names were on prescriptions for this drug in recent times, and lo and behold, a name popped up that had popped up for previous cases of this MO, with being our very, very best friend, Bevan Spencer Von Einem.
Now, interestingly, he had, in the previous 5 years to Richard's murder, he had been prescribed over 5,800 Mandrax tablets. He had doctor shopped in order to get those prescriptions.
He would literally go to multiple chemists, pharmacies in one day to have the prescriptions filled.
Yeah.
I think he had 2 to 3, 4 in a day at different pharmacies.
Yep.
Yeah.
And because there were no electronic records at the time, it's not like it flagged anything in the system. Now, at the time, I think it was around 1980, you were saying that the script for Mandrax was restricted, and what it meant was that nobody could actually be on it for more than about 6 months without needing special permission.
Yeah.
And he didn't have that. So who was writing all these
Who was writing those
prescriptions
scripts?
for him? We actually don't know.
No. There's been a couple of doctors named and mentioned, but with this case, a lot of names that then all of a sudden disappear off things too and get suppressed. And
the other thing is, nothing's been proven. So we don't actually know. That side of things hasn't actually been tested.
And I find that really interesting because to me, I think a prescription, I know they're not digitally tracked like we have them today.
It's a legal document though.
Yeah, but surely there is somewhere where these scripts would be in an archive box at a pharmacy
I wonder
or
how
I don't
long
know.
they have to keep them for. It's probably 7 years.
So, I mean, within this time frame,
Yeah.
you're not talking that we've gone back to a cold case. I mean, now we are,
yeah.
but at the time,
Yeah.
surely they were finding, like, I mean, how they found his name on a prescription. On that same prescription would be the doctor's name, surely.
Yeah, absolutely.
So-
100%.
Surely they can't go.
when I say we all, most people remember the old handwritten scripts with the yellow piece of paper
Yeah.
that the pharmacist would keep.
I'm sure that the police would have had the ability to go, right, contact all pharmacies in the surrounding area and tell them if you have a script from the past, you need to go through your files and find any scripts for Mandrax that you've had in the last 2 years, say, and send them in. Surely that's something they have an ability for, to be able to then collect all of them up and go, right, well, that's a different person. There's one for Bevan, and there's that name on there. And
I don't know how in depth this investigation.
this is it.
got.
I don't think there was
However,
any investigation really.
quite possibly, but it did mean that they now were like, okay, well, we've got someone to go and have a chat with.
At least, yeah. So 4 days after they found the body for Kelvin, they do, bring Bevan Spencer Von Einem in for a chat. So they do move quickly from that point, which I just find that interesting that it took
a high-profile
kid to them to finally jump on it that quickly. But they did.
So the police interview Von Einem and they ask him what he was doing at the time, and he's like, oh, no, I was at home in bed with the flu. Now, interestingly enough, Mr. Von Einem lived at home with his mummy.
He did.
Bless.
Yeah. He did own other properties though.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but he loved his mum so much. I love my kids, but fuck me if they're living with me when they're in there. Oh, how old was he at this point? He was born in 1946. Yeah, he was in his late 50s. Ew. Okay, we'll talk about him in a minute.
Yeah.
So yes, he's like, oh no, it couldn't possibly have been me. I had the flu. I was in bed, and now everyone knows a man with the flu.
Oh.
So the police were probably like, oh yeah, mate, you're probably on your deathbed. Nah, fair. No, but what they did do is they were able to do a search of his house, or the house that he shared with his mum, and they found a bottle of Mandrax, which was prescribed to him, which he said that he hadn't taken for years because he used to take it to help him sleep, and then he was able to get other things to help him sleep.
He stated at that point when they found that bottle that that's the only drug he ever took.
He didn't have any other drugs
in the house.
When they looked through, now was it his wardrobe?
Yep.
There was the
back
windowsill, like a sill at the back of the wardrobe, and they found a bottle of Noctec.
Funny that.
Isn't that interesting? The police
It
were
was
really
hidden. Like it wasn't like it was out in the open at all.
Whereas the Mandrax was out in the open. It was in his medicine cupboard, like behind his mirror in his bathroom.
Yeah.
That wasn't hidden.
The Noctec also did
was
have,
hidden.
and it had a prescription, like it had it written on it, like had his name on it, had B Von Einem on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So no query, no oh no, I don't take that. That's not mine.
No.
Oh yeah, it is.
The police were really suspicious about 3 things that happened when they first interviewed him. The first thing was that he said he wouldn't answer any questions without a lawyer.
Yep.
Okay, now at the time, that might have been suspicious.
I see. Yeah, I mean, I find
But
that one hard
I feel
to.
like we have said to people before, if we ever got interviewed by the police about something that they suspected us of, you should have a lawyer.
You should have a lawyer.
present.
Lawyer up immediately.
Lawyer up. It
I don't
doesn't
have an
make
issue
you
with
guilty.
that at all.
I don't either.
No,
it
I
doesn't
don't.
show guilt, but the police took it as a sign of guilt.
Yeah.
When the second thing was, when they asked him if he'd murdered Kelvin, he said it would actually be unethical to do
Yeah.
so.
It was a
he didn't
really-
say, he didn't go, oh no, I didn't do it.
No, it wouldn't
And
be
that's what
an
someone who
ethical
didn't
thing
do
to
it
do.
would have said. It would be an unethical thing to do. Yes, it would be an unethical thing to do, and you fucking done it.
Yeah. Yeah. Very interesting wording. from
Very
a
interesting.
psychopath.
Never denied it. Then, oh yeah, so sorry, you've already mentioned the other thing that made him suspicious, which was the drugs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, having them in his
and having the Noctec hidden, like, seriously.
Yeah.
Now, the police kind of let him go at this point. There was nothing really hard, no hard evidence to really keep him on. And he actually had a holiday planned.
Yeah.
He was going to the Soviet Union and to the United Kingdom.
Yep.
Now, before he went on this trip, he decided to sell his car.
Yeah.
Very fascinating. What car did he have?
Well, that was a Ford.
It was a Ford.
Yeah.
Now, okay, so the police like, interesting. But what did he do before he sold it? Did you read that?
Oh, yes.
He
What did he do?
Painted his boot, the boot of
That's
the car.
right. I know it was
He
cleaned.
painted it. Oh, he cleaned it.
Like,
but he
real
then
thoroughly
painted
cleaned.
over it with paint.
Oh, yeah, right. The boot.
The
Yeah,
whole
right.
boot. The whole boot cavity.
That's so sus.
So sus.
He did also...
He said he sold it because he needed the money for his holiday.
Well, yeah, I could come at that. That's not,
Yeah.
okay. But still, weird.
You need to paint.
But
the
before he left to go overseas, he did allow the police to have access to his home and take samples of fibres from the house. I believe they took some DNA from him, or no, that was later. They did then.
boot. I'm pretty sure they did then.
Yeah. So that they could then compare these to the fibres that
They
they
took
found.
hairs and
Yeah, they took hairs, things like that.
Yep.
So whilst he's off having his trip, the police are doing this further investigation, and they do find a match between their hair on the jeans that was found on Kelvin's jeans that matches Von Einem's hair. They found fibres on a jumper on the T-shirt that Richard Kelvin was wearing that matched a cardigan that was in his wardrobe. And they also found carpet fibres that matched inside the
rug,
house
maybe.
on the rug in the bedroom.
Yeah.
That were found on Richard Kelvin as well. So basically when Von Einem came back from this holiday, I guess, they really sort of put this on the table to him. Now, prior to all of that coming to the forefront, as we said, he denied any knowledge of Richard Kelvin whatsoever.
Yeah.
All of a sudden he changes his story.
Well, now they've got evidence.
They've got evidence.
So he's like, what the fuck?
Yeah. So he changes his story to say that, oh, yes, I just find this really fucking stupid. Like, apparently he was driving along that night that he supposedly had the flu. Now, he didn't have the flu. He was driving along going to a fish and chip shop to pick up dinner. And when he spotted Richard Kelvin walking down the road, and he was looking for a car park, and he spotted him, and somehow it got into a conversation about Richard Kelvin being bullied at school, and that he was bisexual. Wait, what? Like, how did that just come up so naturally between complete and utter strangers?
In 30-odd seconds.
Yeah, as you're looking for a car park, you spot a kid, and that's the conversation that you naturally fall into. Like, fuck me, whatever, mate.
It's an absolute joke.
So he claims that then, because they've just literally bonded, in this amazing moment of having conversation between a 50-year-old man and a 15-year-old kid, that, Richard Kelvin just gets into the car with him, and they drive back to his house so that he can show Richard Kelvin his harp in his bedroom.
Yeah.
So, and whilst they're sitting there and listening to this harp, Von Einem puts his arm around Richard because he's comforting him, because he's talking about him potentially being bisexual and, and being bullied. And that's where the fibres came off of his cardigan. And also then that they sat on the floor for a brief moment too. And that's why there'd be rug fibres on him. But he was there for 2 hours. And then he dropped him off.
Well, he didn't drop him at home though.
No, he dropped him off in the city.
Yeah, and then gave him $20
to
for
get
a taxi
home.
to get home.
Yeah, so that's not quite kind of adding up because...
Oh, no shit.
No. Yeah, well, not even like, physical evidence-wise, because what they said was that the amount of fibres that were found in... oh God, I had it written down here somewhere. There was 248 fibres or something found on Richard Kelvin. And a very small portion of those were from his home. And I want to say off the top of my head, I'm talking like, say, 50
of the
to 248.
Yeah.
Like 50 of those were from his home where he had spent a considerable amount of his day. and the other 150 odd, 200, were from Von Einem's home. Now, so scientifically what they were saying is that there is no physical way that he had spent only 2 hours in that home to have that number of fibres. It had to have been a far longer period of time for him to have that amount of fibres on him and carrying them, to the point where those clothes were then put on him again to then be thrown out in the bush and left there for two weeks before being found.
Yeah. Should we talk a little bit about who Von Einem is or was?
Yep. Do we have to?
So he's an absolute fucking piece of shit. He was born on the 29th of May 1946, and he was an accountant / bookkeeper. I think he was a pretty fucking shit poor accountant, so he was doing bookkeeping. Like, I don't know that anyone wanted to employ him as an accountant. He first came to public attention in May of 1972. This is important as we go on with this story.
Yeah.
He came to the aid of a man by the name of Roger James, who was thrown into the River Torrens during the murder of another friend of theirs named George Duncan.
He was a professor at the university.
Yes, so very sort of prestigious in terms of where he was at in his field.
He'd been brought out here from
the UK. I think it was.
He'd only been here for about 7 weeks when this occurred.
Now, we've all watched Bondi Rescue, and we all know people from the UK can't swim. Sorry, no offence to anyone from the UK. But, you know, we grow up as Australians, everyone knows how to swim.
Yes.
I think we don't really get the gist that in the UK, it's not as much of a thing. Like, you have to, it's not like everyone does swimming lessons like you do in Australia. So this poor bloke, this poor George Duncan, was thrown into a river, unable to swim, and he ended up drowning. Now, he'd been beaten, and it was quite a horrific...
No one's ever been convicted of this crime.
No.
But there is a strong belief that police were involved in this. This is where it gets real
shady.
Yeah.
Real shady.
I mean, at the time, being gay was illegal.
In South Australia.
So in 1975, they were actually one of the first in Australia, though, who legalised being gay.
Jesus,
which
can you even believe
I
that?
know. It doesn't seem like that long ago.
It doesn't. It's not long enough ago.
No, I know. So, yeah, so 1975 in Adelaide, they legalised it being gay. But so in 1972, it was illegal to be gay, which is just fucked up. But yeah, so this was what was going on. Apparently this was like happening on the regular, that it was actually had a name, and I'm going to say it, and I really don't want to offend anyone. But this whole thing of throwing people in the river was called poof slinging. Like, it's just revolting.
Horrific. Absolutely horrific. Like, the
so gross.
slurs that you read in relation to this case, you're just like, fuck me.
It's so gross.
I can't even.
No, the fact that that's what it was named, even like publicly, just...
Oh, it was in the papers.
Yeah, that was like the headlines of it. Like, oh, I can't. I just can't.
It's horrible.
Just
but
horrible.
Basically what Von Einem says is that he was driving past, he saw this happen, and he stepped in to intervene. And he did actually save Roger's life.
Well, yeah, Roger did break his leg. So Von Einem did pull him into his car and took him to the hospital. So, yeah, he did help him. Yeah.
He helped him. It's just fascinating. But anyway, this is the first time his name was kind of in the ether, out there.
But, I mean, he's been interviewed, and this has been corroborated, that Von Einem, as he grew up, was molested by a friend of his father's. Yes. And his mother has said, that was what happened. It was very interesting scenario of when it happened. His dad couldn't have cared less that it happened. He was in the house apparently when it would take place, and he basically just told him to go wash his hands and be, that's that.
He was only 7 years of age when this happened too, which we know that's such a critical time in a young person's life.
Yeah. So, I mean, he didn't have a great childhood in that sense.
No. A lot of trauma.
Yeah. But he's still a psychopath.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, there's so much there.
Yeah.
So much there. Yeah. Okay. So we've got basically a lot of circumstantial evidence that connects the death of Richard Kelvin with Bevan Spencer Von Einem. And it gets to the point where the police are able to arrest him for the murder, and he is set for trial because, of course, he pleads not guilty.
Of course.
Which that in and of itself just fucking gets me.
Yeah.
I'm like, mate, there's a lot here pointing to the fact that you did this.
Oh, absolutely. I think, and that's the narcissism in him and whatever, like that he honestly believed, if I didn't do this, and I'll just, I'll be smarter than them, and I'll convince them all and do that. He didn't get up at trial at least and speak.
No, they did tender a statement from him.
Unsworn statement.
Yeah.
So there was a bit of a weird thing that went on there with it not being a sworn statement. So he was still not even
beholden to what he said in that, which is interesting.
Yes.
But I think that was because of the change in his story to match the evidence, really.
This is the thing, yeah.
His mother gave testimony and
she also had changed her story a bit to fit with it.
Exactly. And so she was a really unreliable witness, and I think the jury really saw straight through her.
Yeah.
I think, did the trial go on for like 5 weeks or something?
I believe so.
Was it? And it took it took the jury only 7.5 hours to deliberate.
Yes.
And on the 15th-ish of October, on the 6th of November in 1984, they found him guilty. He was then sentenced to life in prison. Originally, he was given a 24-year non-parole period, but that was then appealed by South Australia's Attorney General. That was overturned, and it ended up being it was increased to 36 years of non-parole.
I did love, though, that Von Einem's defence team, they did appeal the sentence and the conviction at one point.
Okay, I didn't know this.
Oh, I love their reasons for appealing.
Go.
So the reasons for appealing were on the basis of the fact that there was evidence in the trial that was given that basically what his idea was, this whole conversation he'd had with Richard about him being bisexual and all that sort of thing, right? That what the prosecution did was they put people in the stand, like his girlfriend, for example, and other people in his life who said that he was not, he was absolutely heterosexual and all these sorts of things. So basically they were claiming that that's not a true reference of it because he said the opposite.
Jesus.
They also appealed on the basis that Von Einem's own homosexuality had been used in the trial and that was, a negative thing against him.
Okay, well, that could be seen as discrimination.
Yeah, so that was a little bit maybe. But, the biggest thing that they did appeal on was the fact that Von Einem had used a birthday party that he said he attended, which there was someone who in his family who had come and had been on the stand and said, yes, he was absolutely at that party from about 6:30 to about 10:30 on the day that so basically they believe that his body was dumped approximately on the 10th of July. Now, this could have also been the 9th of July or the 11th of July. There was, a little bit of leeway there. But because of the fact that this person testified that for 4 hours he was at a birthday party, therefore, according to Von Einem, he couldn't have dropped the body off, and so he couldn't have murdered him. Yeah, so it was completely thrown out.
Yeah.
And no, go away.
Fuck off.
The birthday party evidence was clear. Okay, you didn't do it between those hours, but still could have done it the next morning even on your way to work.
Well, they think that it happened in the dark.
Yeah, so
there's still after 10:30. That's probably pretty dark.
He could have done it in the morning. He could have done the morning of the 10th,
or the night of the 9th,
or gone after 10:30 at night, or as I said, early hours of the morning of the 11th. They're still saying that that's possible too.
Yeah,
but so it was thrown out.
Yeah.
They also did try and bring charges to him on 2 of the other murders that we've discussed.
Yeah.
So Alan Barnes and Mark Lagney that they tried to bring charges on, and they did get to a point where they were all sort of prepared to go in. However, there was some stuff that came up in that. There was a particular witness, Mr. B, that they had used to get evidence on all of this, which we'll talk more about Mr. B in a moment.
Oh yeah.
But so they were going to use his testimony in this next trial. However, what they couldn't use in that trial was anything to do with Richard Kelvin. So they couldn't link Richard Kelvin's case and murder, and that could not be brought up at all in this next trial for the other 2. So it became really difficult to get Mr. B's testimony in as well as a lot of other evidence.
Because it was all linked and related, and what it meant was if they kept out the things that they had to keep out, they actually didn't have much of a case at all.
Much more. So, yeah, they ended up having to drop those charges, and he never was convicted on any others.
Or tried.
For any of the others, yeah. So, which is really, I mean, I can, as I said earlier, I can understand why that young Peter was not included in that.
Yeah.
I can understand why he wasn't included in that one.
Me too.
But it's so sad that there's not convictions over the other ones that were murdered.
To this day. Let's talk a bit more about Mr. B.
Yes, Mr. B.
So let's actually talk about the family a little bit because so the family, which I just hate that it's being called that because, you know, you think about a family and you think lovely things and connection and closeness and niceness and kindness.
Which a lot of people who investigate this they dislike it being called that. But I mean, I understand why it's been
I get it. So it was the reason it's called that is just because the lead investigator, the lead police investigator on this case, was talking to the media one day, and he's like, "Oh, it's just like one big happy family.
We just want to break up this happy family who have been because all along, and we haven't sort of touched on this, that there was a lot of evidence to prove that Bevan Spencer Von Einem did not operate on his own.
No,
from the very first one, from Alan Barnes. They always believed that there was more than one person who committed that. And then even though they didn't link the two.
Well, I think they know that because there were a lot of witnesses that saw multiple men in a car that were then picking up these hitchhikers, which was the MO for getting these people, these men into the cars or these boys into the cars. So they know there was more than one person involved. There's other evidence they've got as well, some of which hasn't actually even been reported. But the police, we know that it's not just one person.
No, I mean, look, if the youngest being 14, the oldest being 25, of who we've just looked at, those 5 cases. I mean, one person on their own trying to subdue a person of that age and that strength, particularly a 50-odd, 60-year-old man being Von Einem. Yeah, he didn't do this on his own. It was very clear from the get-go there was more people involved.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
The family was rumoured to be roughly 12 or 13 people. It's really unknown.
But many of those names have been suppressed. There's been some that have been released, and we can talk about a few of them.
Yeah. I think, in a lot of ways, if you want to find things out on the internet, you can find things out on the internet. But, it's pretty horrific. Anyway, let's get into it a little bit more. Mm-hmm. Now, the family is believed to have had involvement in over 200 or more. It's actually an untold number.
It really is, yeah.
We don't actually know. And a lot of, the speculation is that because the names of the perpetrators haven't been released, that might be holding some victims back because they think maybe they were the only one. They don't want to come forward.
Sort of think, I'm not really part of that crew. I don't know if I was
part of
that.
But
also there's also just the general shame of having been through that.
It's an unknown number of people who are victims to these absolute pieces of shit. So let's talk about Mr. B.
Yep.
Mr. B was a doctor. He is a very, very interesting man, and I would not want him to be my doctor. He was a known associate of Von Einem's. He had kidnapped and raped men together, admittedly, with Von Einem. He admitted to being in the car when Von Einem picked up hitchhikers and drugged them. I suspect he possibly had a hand in prescribing some of those drugs, given the fact that he was a doctor. Mm-hmm. He then said that they would give them a lot of alcohol, and then they would.
Well, he said that Von Einem always had in the back seat of his car an esky, which always had alcohol in it. And what Mr. B allegedly alleges is that in that alcohol was also then drugs, so that he would coax these young people into his car, saying, "Hey, come on, have a drink. We've got a drink in the back. Here, have a drink." Because he said never did Von Einem drink those. So they weren't drinks for him to be drinking whilst he was driving around or anything. They were to go to these young people who would get in his car.
Yeah, there's a story of young man who had been, I think, at a football game or something like that. And he was going to catch the bus home, but I think he'd missed the last bus or something, so he decided to hitchhike home. And he said he'd hitchhiked before and he felt like he knew how to do it safely. And it was important to him that he hitchhiked. Like, if someone turned around and picked him up, he wouldn't get in the car with them, because he's like, I'm only going to get in the car with someone who's by chance is going the same way
direction
that I'm going.
Yep.
And so on this particular night, he gets in the car. He's in the back seat because there was a driver and a passenger in the front seat. The driver says, hey, we're going to a party. Would you like to come? I've got some drinks in the back. Make yourself comfortable. Now, this young man had decided he was going through a bit of a health kick at the time, and he was like, oh, I don't drink. Von Einem insisted, opened the beer or whatever it was, the beverage for him, handed it to him, but this boy didn't partake. This man didn't partake, didn't have anything, just kind of held the open drink. And it got to a point where things kind of really escalated, and Von Einem was like, where do you live? And he's like, oh, just drop me off on this corner. That's fine.
Yeah.
And he was like, no, where do you live? And he's like, yeah, just down the way a bit, but here's fine. And it kind of went on like that. And I'm guessing Von Einem actually got to a point where he was like, oh, I actually can't be fucked with this anymore. He dropped this. Eventually, this man was really scared, really, really scared, dropped him off. And as he got out of the car, Von Einem then did a U-turn and went back towards the city again to try and find the next victim. And he said, so that happened. It was kind of an isolated incident to him. He went home. He did this man did tell his mum about it when he got home. It was really weird. They kind of didn't do much. Oh, actually, I think they did report it to the police, but nothing then really came of it because nothing really happened.
Yeah.
But he suspected there was something in that beer.
Yeah.
Anyway, years and years and years and years later, when Von Einem was on TV after being arrested for Richard Kelvin's murder, he was like, oh my God, that's
the
him.
guy. Whoa.
Yeah.
Well, this is the thing. I mean, what they're sort of alleging is that this was a group of people who that's exactly what their whole MO was, in that prior to the murders, and this sort of thing, it was this whole scene of basically a delivery service in a lot of ways is what it was called, in that certain people would drive around, pick up young boys, whether they were, hanging out at gay bars or, or hitchhiking, those sorts of things. They would target these kids. They would get them in the car with them, voluntarily probably, come and have a drink with us. We're going to a party, here, join us, come party with us at this place. They would then take them in the car. They'd go to a house. And this is where the bigger names come into it, in that they can't go out and meet these people themselves. They stay behind the closed gates of their home.
That's it.
But these young boys would then get dropped off to them. These young boys would be then plied with alcohol and drugs. They would get raped and then wake up the next morning and not remember really what went on, but they're in this strange home.
I mean, they would be left. That's a date rape drug. It's not, but it's used as a date rape
that
drug.
way. But it's, and so these boys would then wake up the next day and, be released and let go. And that's the majority of what these, these young men would have experienced.
Well, there are reports from the very few who have come forward to say that, like, they'd wake up the next morning with a sore bottom. And, the ones that then did have the courage to go to the hospital or go to seek medical attention were then told when they did that they'd been raped. Like, it's just, you can't even imagine it. It's just horrific. Awful. Absolutely horrific.
Absolutely.
These poor boys and these poor men.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they were basically around the age of like that 16 to 18 kind of was typically the ages they were targeting. I mean, there was a story that came out, and this is all after the fact that these people have come forward, but it came out that Alan Barnes, he actually was working as a delivery boy for a vending machine company, and one of his clients was Bevan Spencer Von Einem. So he was known to him, and there were connections. And what one of Alan's friends had said was that what Bevan had said to the boys was, if you want anything you want, drugs, right? And both of them were like, well, we're not really into that. We don't really take drugs. But he was like, no. If you want anything at all, just bring me boys of your age.
It's like a trade.
It's so gross. And like in
trafficking.
trade of it would be, you know, like you can give you whatever drugs you want, your party drugs and stuff, and you can have all that. And you just bring me other boys of the same age as you guys. Like, to which they, you know, Alan Barnes and his friend were like, nah, not into that. No. But there was a whole scene of it that was going on. And so Alan Barnes's death being the start of these murders is interesting in that there was a link there to Bevan directly when you go right back to that stage.
Yes.
So I think that my personal opinion is that this was all going on and Bevan Spencer Von Einem was all part of all this crew that were, you know, you're dropping off young boys and it was, you know, delivering these boys to people. But he wanted something a bit more to it.
Yeah. Yeah, that sort of escalated from him as the sort of centre of that, the epicenter of that.
Yeah.
It's really interesting just when you were talking about Alan then, is that Mr. B's sister testified in court that he had said that he was present when Von Einem, when that first murder occurred.
Yeah. There is a lot that's come out around particularly Alan Barnes's murder.
Yeah.
There's a diary that has come forward, and a man by the name of Trevor Peters, who has passed away. Now, he was in sort of the gay scene, all that sort of stuff. He was an openly gay man. And his brother has come forward with these diaries after he passed away. These diaries are incredible. And we don't know the half of what's in there because so much of it has been redacted, it's been suppressed.
Yeah.
But he tells a story in his diaries particularly around another character who was Dennis St. Dennis, who was a hairdresser, well-known hairdresser in that area, in that scene.
Yeah.
He just happened to be, Dennis St. Dennis was this man, was Trevor Peters' hairdresser, but he was also Bevan Spencer Von Einem's hairdresser because he would get his hair dyed because he was grey from a very young age. So he would go along and get his hair dyed. Now, gross. One day in particular when Peters was having his hair done, Bevan had come in and was chatting away with Dennis St. Dennis. And what he overheard them saying was, I'll just read it out here. He said, I could hear, this is straight out of his diary. I could hear Bevan and Dennis giggling and laughing and both saying, ooh, how evil. Ooh, it's evil. Dennis said this several times and I became curious as to just what it was they both found so interesting and entertaining, and feeling that I was being left out, got out of the chair to investigate. I found them huddled over a waist-high table directly behind the curtain. There was a group of photographs, Polaroids, laid out on the table, maybe 4, 5 or 6 of them, with Bevan holding more photographs in his hand. They both began to collect the photos quickly, but not before I saw them. The photographs were of a young man, a young, attractive, blonde-haired man lying on his side on the front seat of a car with his legs bent towards the steering wheel. Now, they've redacted all the further information about those photos. But basically what you're saying, what's happening here is Bevan is showing the hairdresser his work that he has done to Alan in plain sight in this conversation.
There's no it's psychopathic.
It's unbelievable.
There's no remorse. And the fact they were laughing about it.
Well, I mean, I have to say there's then a further little bit where Dennis and Dennis, he's passed away. Now, he was in hospital and he was dying, and his mate Trevor Peters was going to visit him regularly. And so at one particular visit, which was 4 days before he passed away, he took the opportunity to have a conversation with him about those photos again to see if he would get more out of him when he was about to die. Because he realised immediately, well, not immediately, he realised that those photos, he later recognised that person as being Alan Barnes from news stories, etc. So he had already placed it together in his diary. There was more about that. But then he said, so on this particular day, he was at the hospital with Dennis St. Dennis, and he decided to ask him again. I asked him about the photographs. He told me that over the years that he spent at Adelaide's beats and toilets, Bevan had shown him dozens of such photographs of nude young men, more often than not with objects including bottles inserted well into their anuses. However, he said, smiling at me, he didn't remember there being any photos at the salon ever. And if you know what's good for you, neither should you.
Oh, bloody hell.
Yeah. So this is the thing. People aren't coming forward because they don't know what's going to happen to them if they do.
No.
I mean, this man never came forward. He wrote the diaries, which good on him for putting it in there.
Yeah.
But there's just so much more to it.
And where is it going to go now?
I just don't know. I don't know that anything more is going to happen with this because, like...
I mean, okay, so let's talk about... Who else have we got to talk about in terms of other known...
Well, there was...
suspects.
So there's a number of people who have been named since. Oh, my God, where have I got this? Sorry.
Woodards.
Oh, I didn't have him on my list.
He's accused of supplying sedatives. I don't actually know much about him.
No, there's not many we do. Mainly I've got information from there's a trans woman by the name of Prudence Furman.
Oh, yeah.
So she's dead now.
Yeah.
The other ones I've got Richard Brown, who was a magistrate.
Yeah.
Don Storen, who was a convicted pedophile in Indonesia, who is very much linked to this, and his name was mentioned in that diary.
Yes, okay.
Number of times.
Yep.
Someone you mentioned earlier being Noel Terence Brooks, who he's deceased. But the biggest one who's come out and he's actually spoken is Lewis Turter. Mm-hmm. So his brother was an Olympic gold medalist in cycling, but they don't speak anymore. So Lewis Turter was in it. He was similar to Mr. B, has come out saying that he was involved in these things prior to it becoming murder. He said he didn't take part in that, but he's saying he fully knows that.
He knows the MO. He knows how they did it. He was there.
Yeah, he was living in a unit which was across the way from, I believe it was Prudence Furman, where she lived.
That's right.
And there was a unit that Bevan owned not far from there, and Prudence and Bevan would meet up at this unit with a young boy, rape him, do all those sorts of things to him, and then let him go on the next day. Yeah. So he spoke heavily about all of that. He's been quoted as saying, Von Einem brings boys over there to our place, but they left alive in the morning. What else? What's with it? He reckons that there was at least half a dozen that he's seen, but they left pristine the next morning.
Pristine? After being raped and tortured for the night? Yeah, sure. And drugged? Sure, okay, pristine.
When he was asked about the drugs of the boys and that happening in the home, he said, well, his reply to it was, because I was a stupid fool, wasn't I? So Turter said he never faced any charges related to Von Einem, but he had faced 2 gross indecency charges in Adelaide several years earlier. So he was heavily involved in it, and he's come forward and admitted to all those. But Von Einem's never copped anything further in terms of charges for these other instances. But they
tried to get some minor charge to stick on Von Einem with one of his testimonies or one of his statements, but it just never stuck. I can't remember why.
There's been things since, but they're completely separate.
Yeah.
But
no, that's not what I'm referring to.
No.
This was more things that came up after he sort of made a statement that just never stuck. But then I kind of understand for a lesser charge, why would you go down that path in terms of prosecuting Von Einem again?
Because the thing is, it's not even just Von Einem getting more on him, because he's got a life sentence. The victims' families, you want your child's name applied to that.
Oh, 100%. But at least you'd know that his killer's behind. Well,
absolutely.
But then the thing is,
it's so many others that need to be.
It.
Who else was involved?
Yeah, so So Von Einem was involved. We don't actually know if he's the one who actually perpetrated these murders. To me, he's not the one who had the medical training.
No.
There are a lot of other people implicated who did.
Yeah. What he did prior and what people are admitting to, what he was involved in.
Yeah.
Very much the rape and the torture side of things. I can absolutely go, I can see he did that.
But the cutting up of the bodies.
Yeah, the cutting up of the bodies and that stuff. I don't know.
Parts into cavities.
Do I think he probably would have got off on it? Quite possibly, because he's a psychopath. But I don't think he did it. I don't think he did that side of it. I don't think. That's why I reckon with Kelvin, those elements weren't there.
Yep. And you think that's because people got scared, the other perpetrators got scared and they've been fuck no, I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole.
Yep, I'm out, not touching this one.
Yep.
And so
He had
whoever
to
that
do his
doctor was that did it to
own
the other
Yeah.
ones was like, oh, nah,
Yep.
you can have that one to yourself.
Yep.
And I think he has had him to himself.
Yep.
And I think he's had 5 weeks of doing awful shit to him, and that's disgusting.
Yeah, I think you're
Yeah,
right.
but I think that there's a whole network here that has not been brought down.
Yeah.
And have all gone about their time. And I mean, well, for example, I think it was Prudence and there was a couple of other cross-dressing or transvestites that were working within that group of people. They ended up moving when Von Einem went to prison. They moved to Sydney.
Wow.
So, what the?
Yeah.
Yeah, really
Yeah,
interesting.
Wow. That is really, really interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Okay, so in prison, our little mate Von Einem.
Oh, I get really irked with this shit.
It's fucked.
It is so fucked up.
So he raped an inmate when he was at Yatala prison.
Yeah.
He then got done for, this is actually quite funny.
Yeah,
he was painting, he was doing
Butterflies.
paintings.
Butterflies.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And painting them on gift cards and selling them to people.
$20.
For $20. Who the fuck would pay $20 for
Buying
that?
them? What police? These are like prison
Guards.
officers.
Yeah.
Why? What? Are they
don't know,
buying it
but he
because
got-
it's been painted by Von Einem?
Oh, no, surely not. But I wouldn't also ever spend $20 on a greeting card for anyone.
God, no. How much are they getting paid? No. It's just bullshit. But he got done for it.
He
'Cause
got
you know-
done for it.
yeah.
He got 3 extra months in prison, I think. Oh, no,
Three-
that wasn't for that.
No,
was
that
it?
wasn't for that. No, but he did get something for the
Commercial dealings it was.
commercial
He got-
dealings. That's right.
commercial dealings while incarcerated.
He was charged with it, but I don't
Yeah.
know what kind of add any more. Can you add any more to life?
No. This bit's fucked, but he was actually charged with possession of child pornography for written stories.
Well, he
that
originally was charged with producing those written documents.
Yeah.
But it was proven that he didn't write them.
Yeah.
But
I don't know how they proved that.
Well, it was handwriting experts and also fingerprints. There was
Oh, okay.
yeah, there
I
was
didn't know that.
genuine investigation into it that did.
But these stories depicted sexual acts between a man and a child. Like, oh my God.
So this is where I kind of go like, because 2007-ish, right?
Yep.
He was potentially due for parole.
Yes.
Now, he's never getting out. Don't worry about that. But in some really random world where he genuinely was innocent, right, which he's claimed all along he was innocent,
Yes.
you're due for parole, potentially, yet you're raping inmates and in the possession of child pornography.
Not really the upstanding prison inmate you need to be.
Super guilty for the charges that you have, mate.
You're kind of just continuing your same shit in prison.
Yeah. Think you are where you belong, mate.
Now, the bits that kind of get me with Von Einem. All right, so let's talk about him in relation to the Beaumont case.
Yeah, right.
The Beaumont disappearance.
Yep.
So 7 Network, the 7 Network in Australia, have archived footage of a young man who's helping search a stormwater drain. I think it was 2 or 3 days after the children disappeared. Now, in this footage, there is a young Von Einem.
Yeah, a Von Einem lookalike, they call him.
Okay,
Yep.
sorry, a Von Einem lookalike. And another young man.
Yep. Who matches the description of the man seen with the Beaumont children at the beach that day.
That day.
The day they went missing.
Yeah. Who go back and
So-
listen to our episode if you want to know who we think that is.
When you're talking that there's a network, a network of people doing these things,
Yeah.
does that seem then out of possibility?
Nope.
Fuck no.
Nope. Not at all. And we know that oftentimes perpetrators will go back and be at the scene and look like they're helping out and really just
Really
checking
not.
out the chaos that they've created.
Yeah.
Now, Von Einem got sick when he was in prison.
Oh, yeah.
Unfortunately, didn't suffer long enough.
He got type 2 diabetes at one stage and then had to go into like a aged care prison.
Yeah, an aged care prison. But he also, I don't even know, he developed something.
Yeah.
And I actually don't care enough to look into that.
no.
But I hope it was a really painful death.
I don't think it was, unfortunately.
No, knew his death was coming.
Yeah.
And so the police...
Yeah, major crime detectives went down.
went down to interview him, hoping that they would get a deathbed confession.
No.
And of course they didn't.
No.
Of course they didn't.
No.
He died on the 5th of December in 2025, so not that long ago.
No.
6 months ago.
No, but he will, you know,
5 months ago.
take to the grave all of his evil shit that he's done. We won't know any more about that.
It's such a shame.
And I mean, look, we have journalists like Debi Marshall who went in and did interview him, I think twice.
She did twice,
yeah.
yep.
I mean, she came out of that saying he's a fucking psychopath.
Well, she said at the start he was like really nice, and then he snapped at her.
Because she said something he didn't like.
Yeah.
He did, though, admit to her one little bit that he would never admit before. Mm-hmm. I believe that was something to do with the dog collar that Kelvin wore.
Yep.
Prior to that, he was like, I don't know anything about a dog collar, but he actually said that he remembered the dog collar and seeing that on him. Mm-hmm. So that's sort of a bit of an admission.
It ties, yeah. Well,
you know,
it definitely ties him to it because I guess it was a report. It's not like that was an unknown thing.
Well,
but
he'd been questioned on numerous occasions where he'd adamantly, like, nah, don't know anything about it,
Yeah.
And then, but in that moment went, yeah, I know it. I saw it on him, you know, like put himself in that, I guess, more vulnerable position of admitting something.
Yep.
But that was as close as he got to admitting to anything.
Yeah.
She didn't get much more out of him other than just a realization of a genuine psychopath in this. And so no question of his part in it.
Yeah.
But, I mean, she's done incredible work.
Oh, she's amazing.
I mean, her podcast, there's a Foxtel show, Frozen Lies?
Yeah.
Frozen Lies. Well worth a watch. But she starts off really with another case altogether, which we will do another day.
Yes. Yes.
Which all links back to this, which is how she sort of came into looking at the family murders. Mm-hmm. And she's also got a podcast as well, but I can't think of the name of that at the moment. I feel like it's something different.
Well,
the Untold Stories of the family?
The Untold Story. So her book is called Banquet.
That's right.
Yeah.
I think the podcast is the same name.
Yeah, it's called Banquet, like the Untold Stories of the Family Murders or
Yes.
something like that. But the book is amazing.
Yeah.
I didn't get to finish reading it.
Yeah.
But what I've read so far is she's an amazing writer.
Yes.
And you can just tell she's so passionate about this. Like all she wants is justice
she's in
for
the
victims.
Fight.
Yeah, and she's in it. She has come out and done interviews. She wants help from people who are willing to put their time and energy into this, because a lot of things need to happen to uncover a lot of other things. And I think her biggest challenge at the moment is trying to get the names out there and the suppression orders
She
lifted.
managed to, it was her lawyers that got 5 of the names
exactly.
Brought out. So, I mean, she's doing amazing work, but it's slow going.
It's still not there yet.
Yeah.
But she will not stop. To me, she's like a dog with a bone.
Totally.
She said that, she's interviewed the victims' families, and she said you can't actually walk away from that and not have it change your life forever. And not you just can't walk away, as in, she's like, I have to see this through. Like, I can't not now that I've met the families.
Yeah. Yep. I
just
get
wants-
that feeling of injustice.
Yes.
There's
and she's
not.
like, I have to help them, because they kind of, I think, in some ways, when Von Einem went to prison, the police were like, well, yeah, we've got the guy.
Yeah. I legit think this is where I kind of go, well, there's someone maybe in the police service, maybe allegedly. Because why is this not being investigated more wholeheartedly? They have lists of names.
Why have they been suppressed for so long?
But okay, let's say, if they're being suppressed because you guys are investigating something,
fine.
Cool. But where's the investigation? Where are we at? What's going on with that? We need to actually see something from it, because according to
like cold case
everything,
detectives now,
it was brought back to cold case detectives in 2007 and then closed again in 2010
Exactly. So
with
that's
no
what I mean.
further charges laid.
Yeah.
So
So
why?
it's not solved. So it is still a cold case.
Absolutely.
It's still an unsolved case.
Yeah. Which I know they say, cases like this are never closed, but it's not being actively looked at. So if they're not actively looking at anything, why are these names being suppressed then?
Yeah.
Bring them out.
Yeah.
Let's
see what comes of it. Like, shake the tree. See what falls.
And I'm sorry, if these are just big name people and you're worried about their reputation.
Oh, fuck off.
I'm sorry. I'm so over that bullshit in that
that's
men's club
fucked.
of that. I cannot with it.
No.
If they are linked to this in some way, if they are truly innocent, that will be proven.
Yeah. Yep.
Bring out who's been linked to this.
Yep.
Let them speak about where their role in this is.
I could not agree with you more.
It makes me so angry.
Yeah.
It's bullshit for those families who know that their kids were tortured and just disposed of by these evil pieces of shit. A complete and utter network of them working together to just think that they had oh my God, it just fucking shits me how much that these people think that they are better than everyone else, that they have the power.
Why? Because they've got status or money or what?
What gives you the right to treat people like that? No.
It's disgusting. It's horrible.
It's horrendous. It's really awful. I don't know how other people with it being in Adelaide, I don't feel like we get the story here. And I do know that social media, etc., it's heavily spoken about.
Yes.
But if it's not in mainstream media sources, why aren't the people of Adelaide jumping up and down? Maybe they are and we're just not hearing it. I don't know. But it's clearly not getting through.
Well, look at Debi. She's jumping up and down, and what's happening then? She's loud. She's got a voice. She's got a platform.
Yeah,
but she's got a platform as well. She's got contact. She's got lawyers who are helping her, and she's still
not getting far.
As you said, she's made absolute strides that would not have been made without her. But she's still not all the way there yet.
No. I mean,
so I just wonder what would anyone else do?
I know. How do you make that noise?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's incredible. Check out her book and her podcast. Yeah, definitely worth a listen. She's
other good book to read, and I can't think of the name of the author now. Young Blood. That's a heavy read.
I haven't read that. So did you read it?
I audiobooked.
Okay. That's Bob O'Brien.
Bob O'Brien, thank you. Yeah, it's a tough read.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't go down that one. Only because of time. I just didn't have time. There's so much information. This was the thing with this case.
We gave ourselves slightly more time to investigate this one because
but only
there's
a couple
so much
of
more
extra days.
Only a few extra days, and in the midst of that was Easter. It was a lot to try and I hope that we've done it justice in that sense.
I know we haven't touched on everything. We absolutely haven't.
No.
There is no way, even in a two-parter, we could touch on everything. But go and have a look at those resources we've mentioned, because if you want deep dives, that's where to go to get it.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm so curious to know what everyone thinks. Do you have theories? Are there things that we missed that you've heard about that we don't know about or that we've not touched on in this episode?
Yeah.
Please let us know.
Yeah, really keen to hear.
There's so many links to other crimes as well that we haven't even touched on with the family. But anyway,
this is the thing, because there's just
too hard.
little spider webs out everywhere.
Yeah, that's
we could keep going forever if we don't. We have to sort of narrow it into this major part of it. We please know we do understand there's more to it.
Yeah.
Because, there's just so much to it.
So much. That was really heavy.
Yeah.
I struggled researching that. I know this will be a heavy listen for our listeners as well. It's a big one. So please take care of yourselves. Go and listen to some happy music now.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been watching, to try and break this up, I've been watching a good show I was saying to you called Jury Duty.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
It's so
Get onto
good.
it. It's on Prime.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very funny.
So good.
Combination of Truman Show and The Office.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
Yeah,
definitely worth it.
Very light.
Love it. All right. Well, I hope everyone has a wonderful, wonderful week. I was about to say who we're doing next week, and I've completely lost where I've written it down.
Reynard Singer. How do you say his name?
Oh, Sinaga.
Sinaga, sorry.
Yep. Yes, that's who we're doing.
Yes.
All right. So stay tuned for us next week for another episode. Keep the case suggestions coming. Keep your lovely comments coming.
Come and join us on Patreon.
Please do, because we might be having a giveaway over there soon.
Yeah. Love it. All right. Stay curious, crime besties.
Bye.